If you're ever lost in the woods with no hope of rescue, don't panic. Be calm, sit down, get comfortable, say these words, and I guarantee you someone will be along shortly. You know, I think that the 6.5 Creedmoor is pretty comparable to the 308.
Run.
I think you mean 6.5 need more, you hippie. Okay, my 308's killed more deer than your 6.5 has ever even seen. That doesn't even make any sense. I think you're both stupid. Thanks, Grandpa. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rugged Adventures. Today, I am with the 6.5 Creedmoor, which is probably one of the most hated rounds in all of firearms. If you guys can think of a round that generates more immediate negative thoughts, then leave them in the comments down below. But pretty much if you say 6.5 Creedmoor, someone has something bad to say about it. This bullet came out in around, this round came out in around 2007. And so if you look at the time frame of that, it's probably single-handedly responsible for the great financial crisis, the death of Harambe, and probably our disastrous pullout from Afghanistan, as well as pretty much anything bad that's happened since this has come out. But in all seriousness, this round was designed to be a long-range target shooter that had good ballistics for a long distance, especially through the transonic ranges, where you know that can affect your accuracy negatively. And it was designed to reduce the recoil and be a softer shooting round than the 308 that most people are aware of and love, and is America's second favorite round, probably next to either the 30-06 or the 45 ACP. And so today we are going to go through our standard Rugged Adventures battery of tests that is probably not scientific, probably not conclusive, but will be interesting to watch and will be a fun time, especially if you are sitting at work at your computer and you're bored, because what we're going to be doing today is, like we've done in so many other versus tests, we're going to be testing this with a 1x1x1 wood block, if I can focus the camera here, a half-inch piece of steel, this is just mild steel, 8 inches of solid concrete, and this level 3 AR500 1/4-inch plate that nothing has been able to get through yet, including M855 out of a 20-inch AR-15 barrel, just regular M193 out of a 20-inch barrel, and this same 150 grain 308 out of the 20-inch AR-10 barrel that you're going to be seeing here in a minute. And before we get into that, let's just kind of go over some actual facts and some specs that I've written down on my handy notebook here. Both of these rifles have a 20-inch barrel, and that means that it's going to send this 140 grain 6.5 Creedmoor at about 26 feet per second and generate about 2101 feet-pounds of energy at the muzzle. Now this 308, also coming out of a 20-inch barrel, is going to leave there at around 2,600, I think 79 or 39, depending on what I scribbled down here, and have 2,390 feet-pounds of energy at the barrel. And right there you have a win for the 308. Until you look at what they have coming for energy density. And a lot of these things are going to have different factors of the round down range. The 308 might be able to carry more energy down range because it is a larger bullet. But this one is going to break the wind much better because it's a much narrower bullet, and those are going to be, you know, useful in different situations, whether you're close range or long range. But with the, you know, how much bigger the 308 is than the 6.5 Creedmoor, when you're looking at energy density, the 6.5 Creedmoor is going to be bringing about 64 feet-pounds per millimeter squared, whereas the 308 is only going to be bringing about 52 per millimeter squared, and I think that's going to impact our penetration tests more than it would be anything else. So let's get into shooting this thing. We're going to start off with our wood block and see how that goes. So when you're watching this, you may be wondering why there's actually two 1x1x1 wood blocks down there stacked in front of each other. There's two reasons for that, really. One is that these are high-powered rifles, and I think that it could go through both of them. And two is that the lumber that I'm getting from Home Depot seems to just be getting worse and worse over time, lighter and lighter weight, and even, you know, lesser powered firearms are going straight through. But let's see what we can do. We'll put the 6.5 Creedmoor sort of towards the top, the 308 towards the bottom, and see how deep these things can penetrate. I saw wood fly, so I don't know if that one actually went all the way through or not. But now with the 308, this is a longer gun. And that one may have actually went a little bit low. I'm going to put another 308 just right there. So initially here we have 6.5 up here, 308, 308, and the way I'm shooting down at this, I did expect them all to stay in the board. If you look between these two here, we have 3 exit holes and then 3 entry holes. This must have been where our 6.5 Creedmoor came out and flew out, and I don't know if that has to do with the way the bullet is designed, the way it is skinnier and longer and tumbles more, or if that's just a fluke. So let's go back up, shoot it one more time. So after reshooting, let's see what we have. We have this 6.5 up here that exited the second one early. We have 2 308s here and here, and we have another 6.5 there. And I hope you guys can see on the camera how these are. This one is, you know, a little bit smaller by about 1 millimeter than this 308. On the back side of these, every single one of them exited this, and the 3 that were low chewed that up pretty well. When we come over here to our second 1x1 wood block, and I did bring my impact this time, and if Ryobi makes you mad, this might even worse. Milwaukee's made by the same company that makes Ryobi. When we look at this, we have, this is the front side of that board. So this has already gone through 12 inches of pine, of cheap Home Depot pine. We have our 308s here. They do look like they're tumbling a little bit. And then the 6.5 that does seem to be still on a straight path. And the first 6.5 that we shot, which is definitely tumbling and ends up departing the board. If you look here, you know, we can kind of go through these. 6.5 right there. This is from an old PCC test where we did, it was with my Kel-Tec Sub 2K. The 308s here, this one appears to be tumbling. This one's going straight. That one up there is obviously still tumbling. As we go through these, you know, it's sort of the same story. The 6.5 here does look like it is getting more out of control, and it does seem like the 6.5 tumbles more, and this is where it starts to exit the wood. And these are our 2 308 shots right there. More of the same, tumbling. This one's basically already left. You can see some fragments of the bullet on there, and then the 2 308 hits. Now this is where we see one finally stop. This is one of our 308s. I don't know if it's our first or second, but our other 308 continues to go. This 6.5 Creedmoor down here is tumbling like crazy. This one is completely gone. Up top, the 6.5 has started to also exit the board down here. 308 has an unfortunate hit to that knot there, which I'm sure slowed it down a little bit, but didn't really slow it down much, because we get to this one. This is 308. This is the 6.5 that's tumbling out of the board, and this 308 exits the board as far as I can tell, and you know, is off somewhere in the woods. And so what does that say for this one? It's a little bit inconclusive. One of the 308s was stopped well short of the end of the second board. Both of the 6.5s had more of a tendency to tumble, and I would say that that's probably due to the longer, skinnier nature of the bullet, sort of like a 5.56 bullet. So for this one, kind of inconclusive. Now we'll do our concrete demolition test. We have 8 inches of concrete down there, consisting of 2 4-inch thick solid concrete blocks. We'll put the 6.5 Creedmoor on the left. We'll shoot the first one just one time, so we see what the damage from one bullet is, and then we'll see how many it takes to completely split these in half. That put a pretty solid hurting on it. It did totally split that one in half, which we'll see on the film when we get to the slow-mo, and then we'll see here on the 308. I would assume it's probably going to do the same thing, if not more damage to the one behind it, but we will see. And yeah, it blew that one completely apart. So that was pretty cool to watch through the scope. So there's your 308, you know, that was the 2 pieces of that, and then that is essentially unharmed. 1 bullet, 150 grains, full metal jacket. This is 140 grains full metal jacket out of a 6.5 Creedmoor, and you can see the shell is right here. Ow, that's hot, which you would expect it to be. But I'm going to pick it up again anyway. It's all mangled up in that concrete there, and it has split this one in half. And I don't want to move it because I want to continue on with this test. But it does not look like anything has happened to the block behind it. Let's see if we can move this just a smudge, see if there's anything. And no, there's nothing to the block behind it. So this one did split it in half, but it didn't have the juice to split it in half and, you know, put it like this. So let's finish off this masonry. We'll count how many it takes to get through both of them. Now, if it gives you any idea of the level of confidence that I have, I reloaded the 6.5 Creedmoor. I did not put any more in the 308. Now, granted, the 308 holds a lot more, but I think I only had like 5 or 6 in it to begin with. So again, on the left-hand side there, which if I put the magazine in the gun, and I only have 1 magazine, so if we run out and need more, I have to hand load them. We'll see how many this takes to finish off that that 8 inches of solid concrete. So count with me. We already have 1 in it. We can do 2. And that was just the front one still. And we are through the front one. 4. And we have destroyed the target. I happen to think that this is only going to take 1 more to take out that other one, but we'll see. We are at 1, 2, and it's broken in half. Half the rounds to take a 8 inches of concrete out with the 308 versus the 6.5 Creedmoor. So if you are going up against masonry or hard target like that, the 308 definitely has the win on this one. Whereas, you know, the 6.5 on the softer wood target, maybe a fleshy target where it needs to tumble, maybe it would have taken the cake there if we hadn't called it a draw. But the 308's definitely winning the masonry test. So for our steel targets test, we're going to blow right past all the puny stuff like 1/4 inch and things that we know that these guns are going to go straight through. We're going to start off with 3/8, and we'll do the 6.5 first and the 308 after that. See what goes through. I do believe that both these are probably going to go through 3/8. I would say no problem, but we'll see how that ends up working out. We've hung this one this time versus the rest of them where we have them clamped in something. So, you know, if that doesn't go so well, I'll just reshoot this and you'll probably never see this particular clip. But the 6.5 first. Let's see what we can do. And it does look like I hit it. Does look like I missed all the other shots in it. I'm trying to get as much out of this one target as I can. And we'll hit with the 308 and kind of make a judgment call when we get down there. And that was a nice, solid, clean hit. You can see right through it through the scope. 308 or 3/8 has nothing on both of these. So before anyone says that there's something fishy, I will prove to you guys that this is 3/8, as you can see right there. And this was our 6.5. This is our 308. Each of them went through easily. This one was a little close to this shot on the other side, but I think when we look back here, we can see that it's you know, far enough away that I think it's fair to say that each one of these would have gone through easily. For our next trick, we have, you know, just 1/8 bigger, 1/2 inch steel. And leave your guys' comments below if you think the 6.5 is going to make it through, if you think that the 308 is going to make it through, and we'll just do it right now. So first up with that 6.5 Creedmoor. Again, 140 grains. We're only about, I want to say 25 yards away. I blew it completely off of the thing, and I'm going to have to go re-hang it. So after walking up and down that hill for like the millionth time today, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. The 6.5 did not make it through. We'll take a look at it in just a second after we shoot it with the 308. Do you or do you not think that the 308 will be able to make it through a 1/2 inch of mild carbon steel? We'll find out right now. And once again, we blew it off, which is reasonable because it's just hanging on there by a big hole with a wood screw going through it. Let's see the results. So this is our little screw that's hanging on for dear life. This is our 6.5 Creedmoor impact, almost went through. And then this is our 308, straight through the thing. You can see on the back side of here, that 6.5 Creedmoor did put a heck of a bulge in, nearly made it, but the 308 is the clear winner on this one. And we'll get the tape out again like we did on the ones before. You can see that that is a solid 1/2 inch. I would hope you could see that anyhow. And so in general, the 308 definitely best the 6.5 Creedmoor in the shooting of mild steel, the carbon steel, typical steel, not armor. The next thing I want to try before we go is shooting actual armor plate. This is a Predator level 3 armor plate. It is a 1/4 inch AR 500, and the review that I did on it that very few people watched, this stood up to the 150 grain 308s from the same position that we're shooting it in now, from the same rifle, from M193s and M855s, just the standard ones, not the A1s, out of a 20 inch AR-15, and no penetrations whatsoever. So let's see what happens if we shoot it with both the 6.5 Creedmoor with the 140 grain full metal jacket and the 308 out of the AR-10 with the 150 grain full metal jacket. So we'll see what the difference is between steel and armor in this case. And heck, I may just blow out a whole backstop right off of the right off the back there, but we'll give it a shot. 6.5 Creedmoor first, and like I said, I know the other one does not penetrate this, so it'd be interesting to see what this does. We'll just try to shoot it right in the middle, and I don't see anything. I think I hit right in the middle, just kind of a third of the way up, and it looks like my little wood screws are hanging on for dear life. So let's just go ahead and ping it with the 308 out of the AR-10 here as well, and see if it gets any results that are different than what I had before, really. And we'll put this one a little bit higher. I'll aim right at the Predator. It'll probably come in a little bit low, and we did. Came in about 4 inches low. This here is our 6.5 shot, and one of these is our 308 shot. They're both 308 shots. I don't really know which one is newer. I want to say that this one is, because I was aiming here. I got this thing sighted to 100 yards. We're only about 25 away, so we're about, I don't know, 2 or 3 low there. So I don't know, but the takeaway from this is we did not get through with any of them. The 6.5 Creedmoor may have a bigger bulge than the 308. It also may just be in a weaker area where it's been hit by a lot of rounds already. But again, the takeaway here is that actual armor that is made to be shot, you know, this is only a 1/4 inch. It's been shot by multiple high energy rounds, probably at least 10 or 15 of either 5.56 out of a 20 inch barrel, or 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor out of a 20 inch barrel. Armor that's made for it really lasts. But in our 6.5 versus 308 competition today, we kind of had an inconclusive result. And our soft targets here, those ones, we did have a 308 that was stopped early, but then also the 6.5s tumbled and exited the test early. So we'll call that one a wash. Masonry, the 308 ran away with it. Half the rounds it took to both break the concrete, the first layer, and completely destroy it. On the steel, it is no contest. The 308 has the larger amount of punch and at least the 25 to close range yardage. So does that mean that the 6.5 is worthless? Does it mean that the 308 is obviously the king? Obviously at a very short range, and probably at moderate ranges. The thing that 308 or that 6.5 Creedmoor really has is that much longer range that a lot of folks don't. We only have a 200-yard target way out there, so not a lot of people even have that. So if you get out there to 800, 1,000, you start getting transonic with your rounds, start looking at wind. The 6.5 Creedmoor is a little bit less affected by those variables, but up close and personal in the test that we did today, 308 walked away with it handily. So guys, if you like this, hit that like button down below, hit the subscribe button as well. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, shooting these cool rifles, and I'll see you in the next one.